We were looking at this chart of the Social Democrats, Maria, just yesterday, weren't we? And we saw that they were edging closer to taking first place. And it seems that in the most recent polling, that is exactly what they have done. Still some weeks to go until the election. But how are things shaping up?
Yes, Anna, and look, we still have 5 weeks to go, and a lot of these polls can change. And of course, all of this is within a margin of error, which could prove significant on voting day. Nonetheless, a poll yesterday presented as a shock poll in Germany, the SPD overtaking the Christian Democrats and the CDU for the first time in 15 years. So nonetheless, it does show that the trend for the CDU is still very painful going ahead. And that is something that Markus Soeder, the head of the CSU, the Bavarian unit of the Christian Democrats, conceded yesterday that the numbers are not looking good at this stage, but he's still confident that the union will win the election. Let's take a look.
I would say that we're tied at halftime. We were out in front and then had a few small mistakes, and then the others picked up. And now we have to pay attention that this will be a head-to-head race, and that this head-to-head competition will continue right up until the last day of the campaign. And then it will decide what sort of coalitions are possible.
And of course, that was Markus Soeder, the head of the CSU in Germany. And again, you know, he is referring to mistakes happening on the campaign trail. A lot of this alluding to Armin Laschet as a candidate. You know, this is someone who on the campaign so far has not been proven a very effective candidate. A number of issues that continue to really drag his polling numbers as an individual down. And that is problematic, Anna, because this is not about the election per se, but it's also Armin Laschet in the lead of the CDU. The lower he goes in polls, of course, the more his authority as the head and successor to Angela Merkel becomes questioned.
What are the main issues here for the CDU-CSU? Is it Armin Laschet's personal polling? And what are the main issues for voters?
Yeah, well, you know, this is, to say this is all about Armin Laschet would be perhaps an exaggeration. You know, this is a number of issues that are problematic for the CDU. Many Germans do say that this is a party that hasn't really convinced them when it comes to the future of Germany. You know, climate is still a big thing. The credentials for the CDU on climate are not really spectacular. But again, you know, going back to this webinar that we did with Markus Soeder yesterday on Bloomberg, he said that from now on, it will focus, or the focus will be in substance, and the CDU will prove that they have a plan. And let's take a look at that.
The election campaign has been occupied the whole time with trivial matters. A laugh here, a comment there. What is also, in part, very unfair for the public perception. And now it is the case that, in the last few weeks, it's gotten worse. But I'm sure the polls will increase again. And even if it isn't going to be some giant leap forward, I believe we can still manage to remain number one.
And that is Markus Soeder, the head of the CSU party in Bavaria, the sister party to the CDU. Look, another thing that is worth highlighting, of course, is that the CDU says it will be about substance, but they're also playing up this fear card, saying if we don't win the election, the SPD will go for a very left-wing coalition that will hike taxes and will unravel the German economy. Whether or not that resonates with German voters continues to be a question mark.